Right, it's just past 6 o'clock, so let's get started. Welcome to this meeting of the Cabinet, which will be followed later by a meeting of the Council. It says here, Chair's announcements. I have nothing to announce other than welcome. We're not planning any fire drills, but I can see a green arrow straight in front of me, so we go that way, and we probably follow Democratic Services, who will be first leading the way. Item 2 is apologies for absence. I think that we're all here. So the Cabinet is all here. The gang's all here, as to say. Item 3, minutes of the last meeting, which are in your pack. Is everybody happy for me to sign those? If I propose that we accept those, can I have a seconder? Councillor Philipova-Rivers. And is everyone happy to accept those? Can I see general nods and hands? Yeah, thank you. Item 4 is declarations of interest. Would anybody like to declare their shareholdings in major developers or any other interests that they may have? No one. Beyond, obviously, we all have interests in our own areas, our own wards. Item 5 is urgent business. I don't have any urgent business to report, so we'll skip through that. Item 6 is public participation. Have we had any notification of anyone wishing to speak?
No, Chair.
So we have had no notification of public participation, so we'll go on to item 7, which is recommendations and updates from other committees. You'll see on pages 10 and 11 there are reports from committees. None of those actually refer to the items we're considering tonight. So if you can read them, digest them, and we'll bring them forward when we come to discuss those items at a future meeting. Which takes us on to item 8, which is the meat of the meeting tonight. Pages 12 to 818. There will be a test later. I'm going to ask Councillor Simpson to introduce this in a moment, but I think it's worth us reflecting before we look at this, how we got to here. From the day that we adopted our local plan, we've been thinking about what we wanted to put into our next local plan. And we've also made a decision to work jointly with our neighbours in Vale of White Horse. And then there's been a very in-depth exercise, which I'm sure Councillor Simpson will remind us of, that has brought us to this point in developing what is our own plan, rather than essentially what we inherited before. So I'll hand over to Councillor Simpson, who I assume is going to propose this one.
Thank you. Gosh, we've made it to this point, Reg 19, and I'm both delighted and excited to be here this evening presenting this ambitious and innovative draft joint local plan to you. We have all collectively worked so hard on the plan since our council's decision to embark on making it 3.5 years ago. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank members for their determined and passionate input all along. We have had unprecedented member engagement all the way through, and I hope you can all see the fruits of your steer and how you have helped shape the plan from its inception. I would like to thank our policy officers who are right here at the top of their game, and I'm constantly impressed by their skill, professionalism and dedication and passion to deliver for residents and the council. I would also like to thank all the officers from other teams within the council who have made and continue to make such an important contribution to the development of this plan, including the DM team, comms team, I see Andy Roberts is here this evening, and community engagement team. The joint local plan is a perfect example of positive partnership working between two different councils And I would like to thank my counterparts in who I've worked with on the plans of 2021. It's making very crackly noise, isn't it? Yeah. First with Debbie Hallett and currently Andy Fulsham. I feel I have benefited hugely from their wisdom and experience. Actually, I note that Andy Fulsham is also in the room, and I would like to go further to thank him because teamwork with Andy is easy. He has an intelligence, steeliness, and determination to get things done, yet remains calm, helpful, and supportive. So thank you. Before I move on to the purpose of why we are here this evening, I would finally like to thank the leaders of Southern Vale, David, Rowan, and Bethia Thomas, and our Chief Executive, Mark Stone, and his senior management team, for standing strong and steadfast behind our joint local plan, recognising how it can deliver better outcomes for our residents and goes a long way to meeting the corporate plan objectives of both councils, tackling the climate emergency, protecting and restoring our natural environment, and delivering the homes and infrastructure people need to lead healthy, happy lives. As elected councillors, we have all campaigned on this, and this joint local plan is a really positive step in making it a reality for our two districts. Now, the purpose of the meeting this evening is to approve the draft joint local plan that has reached its Regulation 19 stage to proceed to publication. As you will recall, we agreed with our partner council, Vale of Whitehorse, to prepare a new joint local plan in March 2021. The Regulation 19 joint plan before us is the culmination of a high collaborative effort over the past few years. Our joint work has resulted in a plan that will set a higher policy requirement for new development to follow, leading to more sustainable development in each district. This is a joint plan that will secure nature recovery, more affordable housing, a substantial response to climate change, in particular to address embodied carbon for the first time, and protected, valued landscapes. All important new gains for each district. We have stepped up the production of the well-advanced joint local plan to take advantage of the offer from the Deputy Prime Minister of the 30th of July that we could submit our plan for examination within 1 month of the new NPPF coming into force, expected in late November. So we aim to submit in December 2024. This will bring our new policy requirements into force earlier than would have been possible. This plan takes forward the issues raised. While we have accelerated our plan-making timetable, the plan's vision remains as we set out earlier in the plan-making process. We have effectively consulted the public and our communities and received a positive response to our approach and our proposals. We also had high member engagement, including 35 member steering group sessions and 14 all-councillor round tables. That's 49 sessions altogether. I know there will be questions and members will have points they wish to make. However, I need to remind colleagues that to enable submission in December, we need to agree the joint local plan as drafted as a whole package. I'm afraid we simply cannot pick and choose. If we unpick elements of the plan now, we increase the risk of running into problems with the sustainability appraisal, habitats regulation assessment, and viability assessment, and the plan will unravel. We will miss the window available for an early submission and the advantages of this plan will deliver for each district. The joint local plan, as I said earlier, right at the beginning, is ambitious, innovative, and delivers priorities for each council. It means the new higher policy obligations will come forward to help protect each district and ensure we get good development as a result. This is a forward-looking plan for securing the future of each district. If we approve the recommendations tonight, the joint local plan will start gaining weight as soon as it is submitted for examination. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. You're proposing, I'll formally second, but I'll hold off and reply at the end. Can I see anyone else who wishes to speak on? Stop being a gentleman. And Councillor Bennett.
Does that work? Thank you, Councillor Simpson, for the introduction, and I agree it's really exciting to see this plan here. I think the first council meeting I ever attended was as a member of the public in think it was December or November 2018. I think maybe you were there, Lee, as well, and a few others of us were there as mostly as interested attendees. I think a few councillors were already councillors there, maybe Councillor Gavrijac and Councillor Khan were already, and Councillor Turner, of course. And a lot of the sites in this plan, in some ways, look similar to that plan, but I think if we've learned anything in local government is that stuff does take time to work through the system, and having taken over the administration of the council in May 2019 to where we are now, I think we really have a plan that as Councillor Simpson said, does reflect our vision. You can see the vision in Chapter 3 about the vision, carbon neutral districts for current and future generations, where nature is thriving, a place where people can thrive, residents can reach facilities they need, living on foot, bicycle, wheeling, etc. So it really does reflect our values and our corporate plan and what we want in many ways. And it's absolutely the right thing to do with the uncertainty about the new MPPF and the extensive work and studies that have already been carried out and paid for by the council for this plan. This accelerated timetable does make sense, and I know it's been a huge amount of work for the officers across, I think pretty much across the council, especially the policy team, of course. So thank you to all the officers there, and thank you also for the strong engagement both with councillors and the public. I just wanted to highlight a couple of policies that I'm excited about in a nerdy way. The policy C3 about embodied carbon. I think that's those references, some of those things that we tried to bring in the examination of the last plan are now firmly in the policy. It's great to see. It's also great to see a lot of the active travel stuff now embedded in the plan, like references to the strategic active travel network, mobility hubs, the LC WIPs, that's the local cycling, walking infrastructure plans. And it's also great that, the government made a big speech about wanting 50% affordable housing, but we have that on our sites. And we've managed to boost the social rent percentage, so it's now 25% of the total, which I don't know how that compares to other plans, but it sounds very high to me. And then from a point of view of economic development, I know that last time round the team had relatively little input into the plan because I think they only had an hour to look at it or something like that. But this time there's been a lot of engagement and a lot of studies that have been done in partnership with the planning team. The town and centre retail study and the visitor economy study. And of course, the visitor economy doesn't mean necessarily that you're travelling abroad. It might mean that you've travelled from Tame to have a look at Didcot. So the visitor economy has a very wide meaning. And it's great to see the policy on sustainable tourism and visitor economy, affordable workspace policy, the different types of businesses that are emerging now, meanwhile uses of properties, lots of really progressive ideas around business. From the point of view of our garden communities, one of the big selling points to me of having this joint local plan is to have a unified policy for Didcot Garden Town and the Didcot Garden Town area. So we've got a step change towards active travel and a unified approach with Garden Town principles, long-term stewardship, community ownership of assets in the long run, we hope. And also for Berensfield Garden Village in my own ward, where there's... I guess one thing that's different with this plan is that some of the big strategic sites are now fairly well advanced. They're at master plan stage, or there's been quite a lot of engagement. So I know, for example, that is the case in Berensfield, and that is reflected in the plan. But still, I think the policy still makes sure it pushes the developers and the promoters to really as high standards as we can. And then just finally, also good to see the community employment plan back in there. That did get thrown out by the last inspector, and I hope that's going to stay this time. And another policy that we didn't really have last time was one for community-led housing, something that I'm personally very committed to and passionate about. So it's great to see a really, really clear policy for both community-led housing, affordable custom build, which is a really interesting idea that I'd hope to see more of, and rural exception sites as well. So thank you very much to all of the team for this plan, and I'll be endorsing it.
Thank you. Councillor Philipova-Rivers.
So the challenge here is to hold it far enough, but also hold the button down. So I should have spoken first because Robin has actually mentioned quite some of my favourite policies that relate to my portfolio. But first of all, I wanted to say this feels really different than the last time. It was probably one of the more depressing times in my professional life, certainly having to adopt or trying to change and then adopt a plan that was not ours. And this feels distinctly different. I can see us, all of us, in this plan. I know things that Lee's raised and Sue has raised and many others as well really reflected. I want to thank officers, of course, also our amazing consultants. They were really, really on board with our vision, and I know that they really helped us to accelerate. But I also want to thank Councillor Simpson. I know that she has put in blood, sweat, and tears, and she's probably really, really glad to be at this point. So this is my thanks. Housing, we are in a housing crisis. It is really, really difficult for people. And through my day job and also casework in my cabinet role, I'm convinced that a person cannot move forward unless they have a stable, good quality home that they can afford. Nothing else, no employment can be pursued, no healing in terms of kind of mental health or complex needs can happen unless you have a home, a roof over your head, and one which enables you to invest time in doing the other really important things. So it is such a basic right, a fundamental basic need for people's existence. So I am really, really glad to see that we are seeking 50% affordable housing in its various tenures, but especially proud to see that 25% of social rent. This would, coupled with our zero carbon homes, or buildings generally, but homes specifically, would help people that are in need and whose needs are not met by the market to be able to have lower bills as well and live a more affordable life. So I think this is going to be a total game changer. I think there'll be a lot of appetite from our registered providers for this type of quality housing. This is houses that they don't have to retrofit as they do with a lot of their stock currently. So I am really exciting, and I really hope the inspector will see that genuinely all we're trying to do here is create amazing communities, or even better, our amazing communities. So I'll stop there, and thanks to everyone who's contributed so far.
Thank you. Councillor Kesirehai.
Thank you. I just want to say that I echo a lot of what has already been said, so I won't repeat it. That will just annoy everyone and stay here too late. But I do want to start by saying that I'm really pleased that the new Secretary of State for Local Government and Housing has said that she absolutely supports plan-led development, and I think plan-led development is evidently best. I think and it's clear that the better the plan-led development. So having a really good plan, which I absolutely think this is where we are, where we can go. We can go with this, and I think it's really amazing that we've been able to bring this forward in terms of what the government wants us to do. So, and I want to congratulate Councillor Simpson on that and the officers in being able to bring this forward so that we can get that through as far as we can. Just one more thing I want to say, that's a really modern, innovative plan that's ready to go, and I feel that there are many other councils that could learn from this, but also that the government could learn from this. And I think that's so important that we're there at the vanguard and at the forefront of this. And I would say to anybody listening, government, other councils, come and have a look, because I think we're really leading the way here. And thank you. Thank you to the officers for that, and thank you very much to Councillor Simpson for bringing this forward. And I really support it.
Yeah, it is quite
again.
Tricky getting used to a new venue. Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Heritage. Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Barker. If not, then I'll do my summing up as seconder. Anyone who knows me will know I'm not going to go into great amounts of detail. My job as leader is to look at the big picture and the fact that we're fulfilling our strategy. So just to remind you that one of the first things in our strategy is that we need homes and infrastructure to meet local need. This is not a NIMBY plan. We recognise that people need houses. They need somewhere to live. And I'm really proud of the amount of affordable housing that we've been able to put in to this plan. We also talk about the environment and climate. I was at a local nature partnership meeting yesterday where they said, we talked about the nature recovery strategy, and they were saying, I hope you're going to pick this up in your local plan. And I said, I think we were there before you. And so the increase in biodiversity net gain that we're able to put into major sites and developments. And we can do both of those things. And we expect to get kickback when planning applications come in. But we can do it because we've got the evidence. And we can prove that it's still viable to produce homes that meet those standards. If we don't go ahead, and we must remember that because of we did think that at this time we might be fighting a general election, and that in 6 months' time we might be looking at trying to get our plan in order to be submitted. We've had to accelerate in order to meet the initial deadline. And the reason for doing that is what happens if we look at the consequences of not doing it. First of all, we would have to reassess all those policies that we've put in against further viability assessments, further evidence gathering, which the world moves on, and the results might not be the same as they were this time. But also, as an accountant, you would expect me to say, I don't want to spend all that money again. There are lots of things that I want us to spend money on in this council, in looking after the most needy, in providing facilities for our communities. If we're spending however many hundreds of thousands of pounds commissioning further pieces of research because what we have is no longer fit for purpose, then that's money that we won't have in order to do that. So that is countering the major negative of not going ahead. But there is also the positive of going ahead. And that is, the sooner we do it, the sooner these policies become effective. As soon as we submit it, it starts to have weight. And we'll be able to implement those policies sooner rather than later. Our original timetable allowed months for us to review things, and we could have reviewed things and we could have tweaked things, but you can't judge what an inspector is going to say or what the Secretary of State might say. And so we could have spent 6 months fine-tuning and all our fine-tuning be thrown out. So I love a deadline. As Douglas Adams used to say, he loved deadlines. He loved the sound they made as they went past. But I think deadlines focus the mind. And I think the plan that we've got is pretty much the plan that we want. There are always compromises, but I think we're there and we're ready to go. So let's not faff about and let's do it. I have to finish by thanking our officers who not only were doing their day job, but when we moved the deadline forward by several months, we had people who had to rearrange holidays. We had people who had to move across, and anybody who knows anything about planning was press-ganged into bringing this forward as quickly as we possibly could. And I also want to thank the public who responded to our Reg 18 consultation in such large numbers and also so positively. And to the members of this council who have stayed committed to, we're still calling it a corporate plan at the moment. We won't. We'll stop calling it a corporate plan. Our vision and what we want to achieve. And I also want to thank the councillor sitting next to me. Somebody said blood, sweat and tears. I think both of us have had phone calls where all three have been involved. So we she whispered that she hasn't cried. I have. But we're here now, and I've no hesitation in commending this and asking us to support it.
So I guess it's over to me for summing up. Thank you, Cabinet colleagues, and thank you, David. I think we were all elected to make a positive difference. I think that's something we all say as councillors. And yes, Robin, you started off mentioning what it was like 4 years ago. Gosh, what a different place we're in now. I'm so pleased that you see that all that input that we have put in is reaping rewards. And I like David's point, thanking also the public, because we have had sort of a huge response to the consultation. And that was very much also about the approach that we took. We wanted to reach more people. We wanted to reach new people with the In a Nutshell document. And we succeeded. Those responses will be coming out in preferred options, I think is its statement, it's called, when the consultation goes out for Reg 19, or the Reg 19 consultation gets launched. I just also want to say that we have all our favourite policies. Policies perhaps we'd like to see something a bit different or tweaked a bit differently, but we need to look at this plan as a collective of all those policies. We have so much to gain by getting this through now, to sort of really raise that bar. I agree with Sam. I think that if we get this through, we have the evidence base to support the ambitious and innovative policies. We have, the viability and the evidence base to show that it can go through. We hope the inspector will agree. And, if we can get this through, I really do think that we can help other councils who are embarking on their local plans to raise the bar in their area as well on climate change, environment, affordable housing, the houses that people need, actually. I think Councillor Filipova-Rivers mentioned that is so fundamental to everybody's life. So I'm really very excited about this, and it was all intentional to have climate change as that golden thread throughout it. And I think it goes back even to, I would say, our vision, which is so well received by the public in our issues consultation and remains in our plan pretty much as it was then. That comes down from obviously also the Oxfordshire strategic vision that we worked to and signed up to, and I think that we are possibly the only council in Oxfordshire whose plan really does sort of step up to meet that vision. So I want to thank everybody. It is the whole package we need to look at tonight and take forward to Reg 19, and we need to really bag those gains that we can make. It's so much different to where we were 4 years ago, and all that work that councillors who spoke against the local plan at the time, you can see how those ideas you brought forward then are coming through in this plan. So I'm very excited to take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the debate. If I can take you to the recommendations, which are on page 12 of the document. There are a set of them, A to F. I'm not going to read them out, but I will summarise each section of it. So recommendation A is we are going to recommend to Council that, first of all, that the proposed joint local plan and supporting documents are made available for 6 weeks for a Reg 19 consultation. Recommendation B is that following that period, we authorise the Head of Policy and Programmes in consultation with the Cabinet Member for Planning to submit the joint local plan and associated documents for independent examination. Item C is to authorise the Head of Policy and Programmes in consultation with the Cabinet Member to make any non-material changes and corrections. I've already seen a list of typos that has been sent in, so we don't have to reconsider all those. We're going to give Tim the authority to correct those as and when we find them. And D is to authorise the Head of Policy and Programmes to propose changes and corrections to the joint local plan and supporting documents during and following the publicity period. So if we get suggestions coming back from the consultation that require minor changes, then to allow the Head of Policy and Programmes to do that. And E is to authorise the Head of Policy and Programmes, once the joint local plan has been submitted for examination, to invite the examining inspectors to recommend modifications that they consider necessary. That's so that we don't have to go back to square one if there are changes that can be made that allow the plan to go through. And then finally, F is to approve the joint local development scheme, which is on Appendix 3, which is the timetable. So We're being asked as a Cabinet to recommend that Council undertake those recommendations. So can I see those in favour of that? I should probably do that to make it unanimous. There is no one against and no abstentions. And that, I believe, concludes our business for the moment. We're going to rearrange the furniture slightly and give time for those who are not here to arrive, and then we'll be starting with the council meeting once all that has been done. And I'll pass the gavel over to Councillor Hinton.
Steve told me to use that, just so you all know. 1 minute, please, and then we'd like to begin. Good evening and welcome everybody to this special meeting of South Oxfordshire District Council today, the 19th of September 2024. Before we move on to the agenda, I would like to just make a few announcements. If the fire alarm sounds, please follow the instructions of the officer on the evacuation procedure. Please can you ensure that your mobile phones are switched to silent during the meeting? And please, when you are using the microphones, don't actually put your lips on them. Imagine, I'm told, that you're eating an ice cream, and keep that kind of distance, but make sure that you are speaking into the microphone at all times, because otherwise you won't be picked up on the recording. Thank you. Oh, and Emily also said, please do not move your head too much when you're speaking. No left and right motions, straight into the microphone. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. We've received apologies from councillors Mike Giles, Kate Gregory, Alexandrine Cantor, Axel MacDonald, Denise MacDonald, Zia Mohammed and Joe Robb and Ben Manning. Are there any other apologies? We have none, so we'll move on to item 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest relating to matters on the agenda? I see none, so we'll move on to item 3, urgent business and chairs announcements, of which I have none to make. So we will move straight on to agenda item 4. However, no members of the public have registered to address the council this evening, so we can move straight on to the part we're all here for, agenda item 5. The Joint Local Plan 2041, approval of the publication version and the next steps. The council is asked to consider Cabinet's recommendations on the Joint Local Plan 2041. At its meeting preceding this meeting, Cabinet considered the report of the Head of Policy and Programmes on progress made to date with the preparation of the Joint Local Plan, including explaining how comments raised during previous public consultations have influenced its structure and content. In accordance with the Council's Budget and Policy Framework procedure rules, if Council rejects any of the proposals, Cabinet will be required to reconsider their proposals in light of the objections. Cabinet may submit revised proposals to the Council together with the reason for any amendments or inform Council of any disagreement it has with the Council's objections. Council would then reconsider the matter. The decision taken at that meeting will be final and take effect immediately. Councillor Simpson, would you please introduce this item and move the Cabinet recommendations?
Thank you. Gosh, we've made it to this point, Reg 19, and I'm both delighted and excited to be here this evening presenting this ambitious and innovative draft joint local plan to you. We have all collectively worked so hard on the plan since our Council's decision to embark on making it 3.5 years ago. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank members for their determined and passionate input all along. We have had unprecedented member engagement all the way through, and I hope you can see the fruits of your steer and how you helped to shape the plan from its inception. I certainly can. I would like to thank our policy officers who are right there at the top of their game. I'm constantly impressed by their skill, professionalism and dedication and passion to deliver for residents and the Council. I would also like to thank all the officers from other teams within the Council who have made and continue to make such an important contribution to the development of this plan, including the DM team, comms team and community engagement team. This joint local plan is a perfect example of positive partnership working between two different councils. And I would like to thank my counterparts in Vale who I have worked with on this plan since 2021. First Debbie Hallett and currently Andy Fulsham. I feel I have benefited hugely from your wisdom and experience. I would like to go further in thanking Andy Fulsham at this point. He is sitting at the back of the room after all. Teamwork with Andy is easy. He has an intelligence, steeliness and determination to get things done, yet remains calm, helpful and supportive at all times. Thank you. Before I move on to the purpose of why we are here this evening, I would finally like to thank the leaders of South and Vale, David Rain and Bethia Thomas, and our Chief Executive, Mark Stone, and his senior management team for standing strong and steadfast behind our joint local plan, recognising how it can deliver better outcomes for our residents and goes a long way to meeting the corporate plan objectives of both councils, tackling the climate emergency, protecting and restoring our natural environment, and delivering the homes and infrastructure people need to lead happy, healthy lives. As elected councillors, we have all campaigned for this, and this joint local plan is a really positive step in making it a reality for our two districts. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just need to continue, actually. I've reached the end of my thanks, but now the purpose of the evening's meeting is to actually approve draft joint local plan that has reached its Regulation 19 stage to proceed to publication. As you will recall, we agreed with our partner council, Vale of Whitehorse, to prepare a new joint local plan in March 2021. The Regulation 19 joint plan before us is the culmination of the high collaborative effort over the past few years. Our joint work has resulted in a plan that will set a higher policy requirement for new development to follow, leading to more sustainable development in each district. This is a joint plan that will secure nature recovery, more affordable housing, a substantial response to climate change, in particular to address embodied carbon for the first time, and protected valued landscapes, all important new gains for each district. We have stepped up the production of the well-advanced joint local plan to take advantage of the offer from the Deputy Prime Minister of 30th of July that we could submit our plan for examination within 1 month of the new NPPF coming into force, expected in late November. So we aim to submit in December 2024. This will bring our new policy requirements into force earlier than would have been possible. This plan takes forward the issues raised. While we have accelerated our plan-making timetable, the plan's vision remains as we set out earlier in the plan-making process. We have effectively consulted the public and our communities and received a positive response to our approach and our proposals. We also had a high member engagement, including 35 member steering group sessions and 14 all-councillor roundtables. That's 49 sessions altogether. I know there will be questions and members will have points they wish to make. However, I need to remind colleagues that to enable the plan submission in December, we need to agree to the joint local plan as drafted, as a whole package. I'm afraid we simply cannot pick and choose. If we unpick elements of the plan now, we increase the risk of running into problems with the sustainability appraisal, habitats regulation assessment, and viability assessment, and the plan will unravel. We will miss the window available for an early submission and the advantages of this plan, will deliver for each district. The joint local plan is ambitious, innovative, and delivers priorities for each council, as I mentioned earlier. It means the new higher policy obligations will come forward to help protect each district and ensure we get good development as a result. This is a forward-looking plan for securing the future of each district. And I'd like to point out that if we approve the recommendations tonight, a very important point, the joint local plan will start gaining weight as soon as it is submitted for examination. Thank you. And now I will stop.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Is your recommendation seconded? Councillor Ruane, would you like to speak to it?
I'll reserve my right to speak later if...
Thank you. In that case, the item is open for debate. Would anybody like to debate? Councillor Rawlins.
Thank you, Chair. Well, Council, we've certainly come a long way from the pre-submission local plan. Sorry? It's on, isn't it? Yeah. Sorry. From the pre-submission local plan 2034, as it then was in December 2018, it had been through a chaotic process, driven through from outside South Oxfordshire, as part of a very strange project thrown around the Oxcam Expressway idea, and with the aim of artificially growing local population in an extreme way. They were unsustainable and undeliverable sites, no master plans for them. Scant environmental, renewable, insulation or nature recovery policies. Policies written were often blunt, rather crudely written ones. Moreover, the housing mix proposed was in large part ill-suited for local needs. The whole thing was rushed and ill-conceived. Now we have a very well-considered and innovative local plan with a real journey of engagement. Sound policies written with great care, nuance and attention to detail that are really well joined up. The plan really is sustainable with climate, environment, nature recovery and biodiversity at its very heart with new designated valued landscape. We have a thoughtful spatial strategy seeking to minimise commuting, something that is good for our environment, good for productivity and good for work-life well-being. On housing, we now have a plan to address real local needs with a 50% social mix, with a good share for social rent and market supply to meet needs and help contain and perhaps reduce a little our very high house price earnings ratio. And all the types of need, older, future care, travellers, self-builds, community-led needs have been addressed. Strategic sites have proper master plan policies. We've joined up placemaking and focus on neighbourhoods, well-written design policies with good provision for future accessibility needs, serious focus on needed infrastructure, including embedded active travel thinking, all viability tested. And it saved a ton of cost from being a joint plan. We got the spade work done early to enable this sprint finish. And this plan really can be an exemplar with the evidence to back it up. The very good should never be the enemy of the perfect. And yes, maybe we could do a little bit more on mix, but we have really addressed that issue going forwards. I would like, had we had a bit more time, the opportunity to get away from dwellings per hectare, because I think that's a very crude measure and it encourages developers, if they think they might be restrained on dwellings, to go for really big ones. Whereas our interest is largely in more, but smaller ones. However, I do believe that the density wording in DE4 and 5 is truly a great leap forward from where we were. It is now about optimising density, taking into account all the proper relevant factors, including neighbouring character and density. There is now much more nuance and finesse, not only in DE4 and 5 directly, but also in the relevant design policies, DE1 to DE3. A really great job in all the circumstances. Chair, many of us came, in particular, to fix our local plan. Perfection's a high standard, but this local plan is a really fine shot at it. The quality of the thinking and the nuanced finesse of this pre-submission version does not come easily, and I'd like to thank the wide team involved, particularly Lucy Murfitt and her able policy team, but also other officers, colleagues and councillors who have all played their part. Of course, there's an examination yet to go and more changes afoot from a new government, but I think we can decently regard this as job done. I'm sure Sue, David and of course Anne-Marie will rightly feel pride in this result, as should Cabinet and Council as a whole. I'll be supporting this plan, and I'd urge all of you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rawlings. Now, Councillor Powell.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yes, thank you. Great. So thank you, Chair. And on behalf of the Green Group at South Oxfordshire District Council, I would first of all really like to draw attention to and to pay tribute to the hugely impressive work that's been done by the policy team and other members of council staff on getting us to this stage with the Regulation 19 version of this local plan. It really has been an exemplary process. I think Councillor Simpson talked about the amount of involvement and roundtables that were made available to all members, the overall steering group across both councils, the very high level of public engagement that was received and enjoyed over the Regulation 18 consultation. And essentially, I also want, because Andy would probably kick me if I didn't, talk about the platform that was used. Remember what an innovative approach we took to ensuring that engagement was as widespread as possible. And as we know, that was nominated for an award because it was seen to be so innovative and user-friendly. So an excellent process. When we look at the plan itself and taking it as a whole, I echo other colleagues who said, it's not perfect in every respect, but it's very, very good, this plan, and moves us considerably forward from where we are today. The policies are genuinely ambitious, and they absolutely capture the ambitions and the aspirations that we set out when we put together our existing corporate plan and what I'm sure we will be seeing in our next corporate plan when we adopt that. I think I just want to conclude by saying that we will be supporting this plan, or I will certainly be supporting this plan, and I think the most important thing, if you like, to take away from me is that we remain absolutely committed to the vital importance of plan-led development. And I think we owe it to our communities to have a strong, robust plan in place. We are continuing to see unwanted, speculative planning applications coming through all the time. It's so important that we have a robust and well-evidenced plan that gives our officers the best chance to resist what our communities don't want to see and allows them to deliver what our communities have told us that they do want to see. So I think this is a really excellent plan, and I certainly recommend that we all support it. Thank you.
Councillor Powell. Councillor Bearder.
Is that on? Yep. Great. So it seems as a council that we are too often pushed around by other forces external to this council. We got elected, most of us, in 2019 on the back of the previous Tory administration's plan, which was wholly unsuitable for the residents of South Oxfordshire. They knew it, we knew it, and they backed us to change it. Sadly, Robert Jenrick intervened. The Secretary of State forced us to take that local plan. But to our credit, we immediately set about rewriting it, and we partnered up with the Vale, who had similar problems, taking on a previous Tory administration plan. And we've come up with this. We're still being pushed around by government. We're doing it quicker than we probably would have liked to have done because of the rather extreme levels of housing that are sort of staring us down the barrel of the gun. So proposed housing numbers under the new system proposed by Labour would see a 60% increase in houses in Oxfordshire, but South Oxfordshire would have a 104% increase, which is the most of any district in the county. So, if nothing else, just having this plan ready to go and prepared, and all the hard work that was done in it to this point is a huge boon for the people of South Oxfordshire. And I just urge them to realise that it is the Liberal Democrats and the Greens who are on their side in this, who want to protect. And probably HRG, I expect, as well, who will back this as well, who want to protect our wonderful natural environment, who want to provide houses, but we want to do it in a sustainable way, and not just carpet over vast swathes of this amazing place with new housing. Because it's the perverse incentives. So we've already taken on a huge number of housing to this point, and now we're being asked to accelerate that with a percentage increase on that already extreme level of growth. South Oxfordshire very clearly needs a period of infrastructure to catch up with build out, to catch up with the levels of housing we've currently got. And so I'm very grateful we had this ready to go. I'm very grateful that this will give us that breathing space to build out the infrastructure, and I'm really positive that it's got some great environmental and sustainability policies written into it. We saw, however, over in West Oxfordshire District Council, when they tried this at Salt Cross, the planning inspector rejected it because it didn't fit in with the National Planning Policy Framework. That was appealed successfully, and the inspector was deemed to have acted unlawfully there. But the Tories just issued a ministerial statement at the time. It's all very complicated, but it's a bit of a farce, and I hope that these policies don't suffer the same treatment, and that the new Labour government realises that sustainability, solar panels on roofs, just a complete no-brainer. You know, all of these things that we've got in this plan can be supported by the new national government in a way that the previous attempts at this kind of thing were not by the Conservatives. So I'll end there and just say I will be back in this plan, and I'm very grateful that of all the hard work that's come into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bearder. Councillor Turner.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to, in particular, thank Anne-Marie for the tremendous amount of work she's put into this local plan. She has obviously ate, breathed and slept this programme, or maybe not slept at times. But particularly I would like to thank the officers. They have put in a tremendous amount of effort to enable us to reach a quick response at this window of opportunity that we've had. Many of those officers, as we heard earlier in the Cabinet meeting, gave up their holidays and changed their holiday arrangements. So gave up their holiday arrangements so that this plan could be brought forward expeditiously. Being parochial, the people of Chelgrove, ward which I represent, well, in fact, 20 surrounding villages, will be pleased to see the Chelgrove airfield taken out of the local plan 2041. We're not out of the woods yet, of course. It is in a rurally isolated area at the end of a B road. The original Ohms England plan showed that it would be a car travel-based scheme with the vast majority of workers driving round trips of 25 to 40 miles a day. And that is against the long-standing SODC policy, which is to locate jobs near to homes. The original Homes England plan was the environmentally unfriendly plan was dismissed by the Civil Aviation Authority and their partner organisation as dangerous. I have twice asked Homes England in meetings that if they submit another plan, have they discussed it with the airfield regulator, and they say no. I find this strange that they will submit another plan without running it past the regulator first to check the viability, given that they say publicly they will not interfere with the operation of Martin Baker, and even where they're thinking of locating it would certainly affect the viability of Martin Baker. I would have thought that it would have been prudent of Homes England to check this before they spent more money in excess of the, I believe, £12 million they've ever already spent. So I welcome this plan. It's a really environmentally friendly plan that will help us towards net zero. And it's full of ambition that we talked about when we were asking the people to vote for all councillors who are supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Turner. Councillor Khan.
Thank you very much. I think we've got a new councillor who's walking around. And just to give you a warning, whoever's got a bag on the stage, you may have a wet bag now. I think I saw it do something. Council, how things have changed. 2019, the Lib Dems and the Greens got in. No to the local plan. The banners, the leaflets, everything. They fought to say local plan was a bad thing. How things have changed. We don't want a local plan. It was such a crazy decision that the appalling Tory government at that time actually intervened. The Secretary of State intervened to say this is a crazy decision. I was one of the only few handful of councillors who actually wanted the local plan to succeed and to happen. Now, not only do we just have a South Oxfordshire district local plan, we now have a Vale or White Horse district plan. We have a joint plan, so we've gone from wanting nothing to having a joint local plan. And I think in the cabinet meeting, Councillor Philip Rivers was mentioning about the housing crisis. I totally agree with you. And thankfully, Labour has got a plan, whereas the Lib Dems are too busy singing very badly on stage at a conference. We're actually thinking about actually what the key policies are, and Labour's got a vision of actually building 1.5 million homes in the right places and making sure that they're affordable with the right infrastructure. So I just want to say to the Lib Dems and the Greens, thank you for learning from your mistakes. Thank you for growing up. And next time, just listen to me. It will save a lot more time, but I will support the local plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Khan. We now go to Councillor Barlow.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I'd like to thank, as many have, the planning officers for their work on this plan over the last few years. I have no doubt that the complexity that they've managed alongside Councillor Simpson has been daunting and the hurdles many. And there is much to like in this plan. It is clearly a significant improvement on the previous one. I particularly welcome policies C3 on embodied carbon and House 3 on affordable housing, two things which are absolutely central to what we can do well for our residents of today and the future. So I thank those of you who've been advocating strongly and put the work in to build the evidence base on this for leading in this way and developing them. Now, whilst I do understand it, I personally do regret that we remain constrained by national planning policies and previously enforced decisions. This means that, in my view, despite the officers' and members' amazing efforts, that I feel this plan is still not fully meeting local needs, nor is it fully locally driven. And it may well, at times, be subject to developers' judgment on viability. And I don't like that the plan includes the HIF1 road. Many of you will know that I don't accept that the HIF1 scheme as it stands is appropriate for our district's residents of today or the future, or indeed as part of this JLP. I remain opposed to the scheme going ahead as presented for the reasons when I stated this at the public inquiry in February. However, saying all that, I do absolutely support this plan on balance, and I welcome it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barlow. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you. I'm really delighted to see this plan coming through at speed. After being associated with this council for many years, I'm much more used to having reports where the local plan has been delayed for one reason or another. So it's really good to see the opposite happening this time. Perhaps I should start to correct Councillor Khan. We were never against having a local plan. In fact, I went with Councillor Bennett and our Chief Executive and Deputy Chief Executive up to London and spoke to the planners and said, look, please, can't we abandon this awful plan we're having imposed on us and start now and quickly produce a really far-sighted, climate-friendly plan that we'd like to do ourselves? And they said no. So that's history now. But anyway, I shall be really pleased to vote for this new joint local plan, and having it a joint plan has always been a very sensible idea. It isn't perfect. One of the disadvantages of doing it quickly is that I haven't had time to read it all, although I do try. It's not perfect. Reading what I have so far, it's not so much a problem with what's in it, it's what's not been put in there. And I know that my husband is disappointed that some of his suggestions for safeguarding more of our local pubs haven't been put in there. But we've got time over the next 4 years to work on that, and so we'll see where it goes to. And as Anne-Marie has pointed out, speed is of the essence now. And what we have is so much better than what we have at the moment, especially with respect to the amount of affordable housing, climate change and nature recovery in particular. But there were some very good speeches at the Cabinet before this meeting, which I've sat through. I think I endorse everything they said. And I would certainly agree with Sam that we are leading the way with this, and so the sooner the better, getting it in place so that others can follow our example, hopefully, and we need to get started on what it says as well. But I won't repeat all the other things. I will say thanks to all concerned, and many people have made fulsome thanks to the various groups, but I would like to just say all of those concerned. So let's speed this plan on its way. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Before we move back to Councillor Ruane and then on to Councillor Simpson to sum up, is there anybody else that would like to speak? Councillor Snowdon. Thank you, Councillor Snowden. Would anybody else like to speak? I see none, so we're going to move back to Councillor... Oh, sorry, Councillor Philippa Rivers, did you want to speak?
Is this okay? Yeah. So I think we actually share, all of us across the political spectrum, concerns about infrastructure, all types of infrastructure, non-road infrastructure. I think the trouble is with this big developments, and I think something that obviously you're experiencing locally, is that it doesn't come before the development. And even when Section 106 does provide for some infrastructure, it's still a nightmare. And we are very much at the mercy of developers along the way. This is true, and I think we can all agree on that. So I don't think that it is anything to do with politics. I think it's the way that our system works. And I think this is something hopefully national government can address. We don't capture land value at the moment, and I'm told that I was listening to Radio 4 just before, that if we did, actually some of the infrastructure could come forward at the beginning of development. So.
Thank you, Councillor Philippa Rivers. Councillor Uwain, would you like to... you reserved your right to speak, so if you'd like to speak now.
Yes, thank you. If there's one thing you can guarantee from a council meeting, it will be that Councillor Khan will misunderstand the papers in front of him. We never opposed plan making, we opposed that plan. We support homes and infrastructure to meet local need. This is not a plan for NIMBYs. Within my own ward, and I can contrast this with Councillor Khan's ward, where I don't think there are any houses planned over the next 5 years or so, other than the odd infill, whereas in my ward we have 1,998 currently being built on the Didcot North East development, 750 have planning permission on the Lady Grove East site, and the reason why we support planning is because this morning in my inbox I saw that there's a speculative development for 200 houses just off the Abingdon Road. So we do support planning, but we support a plan which provides homes and infrastructure for local need. And that means, yes, it means more houses. People need somewhere to live, but they also need affordable houses. And I'm so pleased that we're able to increase the percentage of affordable houses that we'll be requiring from developers going forward. We will also be striving to protect and restore nature with increases in biodiversity net gain. We're able to do that because we put in the hard yards about gathering evidence, so that we can show that these can be delivered and still be viable. All plans are a compromise. There will be things in this plan that not everybody is happy with. Everybody will be able to find something that is not perfect. But we do. This is a team effort, and what we've come up with all hangs on each other. If you move one brick, another thing falls out of place. And so we're satisfied that the plan that we're putting forward is the best it could possibly be. It's certainly better than the one that it replaces. And this is the option that we have now, is do we go ahead and submit this plan, or if we don't submit this plan, then we fall back, first of all, on the plan that we have, but also on speculative development, because our existing plan won't meet the new guidelines, and it'll be regarded as out of date, and we will have to start from square one in putting together our next plan. That means that we'll have to spend more money on gathering evidence to substantiate the policies that we want to put forward. I have better use for that money. There are vulnerable people in our district who need our services. There are also improvements to our community's facilities that we want to make. And to do that, we need the money, and we know that money is short. That's the reason, one of the reasons why we agreed to do a joint local plan with the Vale in the first place, was in order to save money in doing one piece of work rather than two pieces of work across the councils. But also, if we don't go forward, we open ourselves up to speculative development. The day after the new NPPF or the day after the government made their announcements about what they wanted from future plans and development, I had an inbox full of emails from developers offering to help us out and deliver the housing that the new government is saying that we need. We want to deliver the homes that people need, and we have evidence to calculate how many homes that is, and we have a plan to deliver them. The risk to us as a district is not in the plans, it's in how they're delivered. And we would call on developers to bring forward the plans that have been put into our existing plan and they get carried forward into our new plan, because that's how we meet the needs of local people. Plans don't meet people's needs. It's the developers building the houses that meet those needs. I'd like to join with everyone in thanking the staff, particularly who've put it together, who've given up holidays and given up most of their evenings, or have transferred over from other work in order to get this in on time. I'd like to thank the councillors who have given us the vision to put this forward and supported it, and particularly I'd like to thank the Cabinet Member for Planning, who has remained steadfast on this whenever we have looked like we might falter. So I'd like to thank her on that. And I'd like to thank the public who took part in the consultations and who gave us their support and who re-elected this council in order to deliver this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Owain. Councillor Simpson, would you like to sum up?
Yes, it's going to be a sort of a little summing up because I've really enjoyed hearing from all the councillors this evening, and I'm going to start actually almost where you finished, David. I would also like to thank all those who have responded to the consultations on our plan, the faith that also they have put in us in re-electing us. After all, we did all stand to make the place, our districts, a better place. We wanted to make a positive difference, and I truly believe that this joint local plan will take great steps to do that, and I'll explain a little why. In 2019, it was a very, very different situation. We've heard from a few councillors on that point. Councillor Khan, actually, you disappointed me today. You didn't call me an activist. The good thing about being an activist is that we all came in wanting to bring about change and positive change for our residents. And how this has manifested over the last 5 years is that we have all, as we know, through as members, contributed in an unprecedented fashion into developing and shaping and steering this plan. And we can see the fruits of that. We've heard the positive responses to that too. We have climate change at the heart of this plan, policies to uplift, apply, let me just have a look here, ambitious policy uplift to apply to development. So our evidence-based policies, this is the most important part. We're looking at ambitious, innovative policies, but they are evidence-based. We've heard that also from Cabinet members and other councillors. And that's really important for when it goes to the inspector, and we have to hope that he also upholds them, and so we can really set an example for others going forward. But net zero carbon and embodied carbon, just mention some of the things where we've really pushed the envelope. Higher levels of affordable housing and more social rent housing. Biodiversity net gain of 20%, where the national requirement is currently 10%. Designation of new valued landscapes, dark skies and tranquility policies plus mapping, and renewable energy mapping. And I know that we face, with the new government, a big step up on numbers, but we are in a sort of very fortunate, almost unprecedented position where by taking advantage of this window, this transition period to put our plan in and push it through, because we have put so much work in already, we can actually have the step up in policy early. It starts gaining weight, this joint local plan, from the minute it's submitted to examination. I just want to point out that a step up in numbers and a step up in policy, it's very hard to do both. We need to bank those policy gains and get this plan in now. So I think we are very fortunate, and I think, there was also one other point I wanted to mention. Plan-led development. I think there was a concern, wasn't there, perhaps from Councillor Snowdon, about actually, it's all very well having these policies, but how are they going to go out there? One thing this plan has been brilliant at doing also, it's written clearly. What we need is not just for our benefit, as you know, our residents' benefit, councillors' benefit, but also officers' benefit, that this plan has been really clearly written, because then they can go to developers, our DM officers, and go out there when planning applications come in, and they can fight our corner so much better. So it's a very joined-up thinking plan. It's ambitious, it's innovative. We really stand a lot to gain by it moving forward. I'm really grateful, as I've said before, for all the work that's gone in. One more point, actually, a very important point. I think also Councillor Snowdon mentioned it and raised it. You're quite right. HIF 1, it's essential infrastructure for allocated sites in this plan. It's something the council supports. Speed is of the essence, but the point is we're not losing anything. We're actually gaining enormously with this speed to get it submitted in December, should it go now out. Should Council decide tonight to put it forward for Reg 19. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Council, can we agree the recommendations? All in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed. Thank you all very much for your attendance.